nation, destroys our generation. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. Looking for inspiration in my life. Looking for inspiration all the time. Looking for, looking for, looking for, looking for. Hey!
Good evening, everyone. Setting up a couple things here real quick. Good evening, everyone. I always forget about that. Okay, let's do this as well. Okay, just making sure. Yeah, I always forget to put the uptime up on there. I usually like to get that going during the actual intro screen there. I always forget about that, but at least I can get it up there anyway. I like to have that timestamp on there. It helps me with the highlights as far as cutting out particular items from the stream, so that can create some shorts, possibly as far as. That's where I like to get a lot of that information. So, going right into it here, what I've started to do here, and we're continuing the work on the original custom 3D Grandstand that we were working on last weekend. And basically what I've started the process of here is cleaning up the polys so that we can ready it up to texture it properly. So as you can probably imagine, I'm going to bring these back in here for a second. What I'm attempting to do is cut this poly back here, because the side that comes up here, it tends to butt up to the the inside edge here, so we don't need this entire poly all the way up to this edge. Okay, so let me bring back, I'll show you what I mean. So if I bring back original box here, this piece here, so you can see how this is highlighted. We do not need this poly here to go all the way to the edge, because it'll be hidden by this this wall here. So what I'm attempting to do is cut back this poly so that it ends up on the inside of this wall. And this is going to help as far as once go to map this, as far as apply the texture on it, and further to add the shading to it as far as the ambient occlusion. You won't need this to be shaded on that part of the poly. So okay, so I started working on this a little bit. Now to kind of get an idea, going into it, I had a rough idea of how I wanted to approach this, but let's see here. I'm going to hide this back. Go back into this. What I've done is, well, I guess I'll show you what I did here so far. Let me bring this back. So what I have basically done is taken the coordinates for the x of this vertex on this wall, copied that, because that'll be the same all the way down. Let me turn my snaps off here. And excuse me, losing my voice already. What I've from that, after I copied the x for that, let's go ahead and hide this one back so I can get at this. And I've created two vertices here based on that coordinate. So I've got one here and one down on the bottom at the same x coordinate copied from that other wall. So in theory, and this is what I'm going to hopefully it comes true to me. Give me a second, I'm going to get a drink. I don't know how I'm losing my voice already. I haven't even been talking. Maybe I've been talking a lot to myself before I stream. Okay. So, back to what I was saying. So, what I've seen work in the past is you got these two verts, and then to basically be able to cut this poly based on those two verts. Now, so I'll have two, I'll in a sense make two separate verts. Okay, so what I'll need to do now is go into poly, select this poly, and I don't know if this is going to work. I think it has, it'll find that vert even though you can't see it in polygon. I think it does essentially find that vert. So I'll go into here, into the polygon, and that there should be a cut, and it should, I thought it did, maybe it doesn't. Thought I've seen this work before, but maybe not, maybe not. Okay, it doesn't seem to be wanting to. Alright, let me go back here. We'll get this figured out. Wait a minute, I didn't put the cut on yet. Alright, hold on. Yeah, see, it doesn't seem to want to go to that vert I created. It's just going to that, the edge of that there. Okay, bear with me here. So let's go into, yeah, so basically what I want to do is, I'm here, let me highlight this. I don't think that's got to be done, but let's check it out here. Let's go here. Da, da, da. Go to cut. Yeah, for some reason it's not wanting to select. Okay, the other thing I can do besides that, and this is, you could probably do that, I'm just, to be perfectly honest, I'm not 100% sure I'm doing it correctly. So the other thing you can do is taking that same coordinate, and I'll show this process. I can basically just shorten this poly, is what it'll boil down to. So let me turn the snaps off. I can basically shorten this poly so that it's based on that x coordinate. So let's bring that back. I'm going to run it all the way through the paces here. So we'll go into this vert, got that highlighted. I'm going to copy that x. Okay, so that's where we want that poly to slide back to. Okay. Then I need to hide this back. Oh, wait a minute. Get back into here. I guess I think I had the wrong one selected. Yeah, copy this vert from this wall, and I think what I'm going to do, yeah, give me a second here. I'm going to hide this one back. Okay. I'm going to go into this one, and I'm going to remove these verts that I created. Don't need those. I'm hoping, I did get the little tool that I mentioned last week. I did get the little key indicator. I should let you know what keys I'm pressing as far as the different actions. Hopefully that'll help a little bit as far as anyone trying to decipher, okay, so what is he pushing? What is he what is he clicking on? Finally did get that working. So yeah, just making sure, I guess it's still there and operable. Okay, so yeah, basically what I needed to do is I copied that vert from that wall, and now I'm going to select this poly, and I'm going to, I think this will work. Actually, I might need the Y, not the X, so I screwed up. Okay, let's go back. Now they look at it. So unhide by name, we're going to get this back, and we need the Y for that vertex. Okay, so for, nope, not that piece, in this piece, we need the Y for this one here. Okay, so we're going to copy that Y. Why? Ask why. Okay, and then we're going to go into, yep, let's hide this one back. I just want to get this out of the way so you can see what's going on. Go to this polygon, and then I'm going to paste this Y from that coordinate into here, and that should slide back. Let's see, did it? Let me see, check that. Did I copy it wrong? I think I did. Right, let me try it again. Let's unhide that box. I think I might have copied it wrong. Alright, so this vert, yeah, does that end up being the same? 8299 shouldn't be. Let me see here. I don't think that's pulling back right. Let me check it again. Copy this again. Okay, I'll hide that. Get to this poly. I'll be damned, it is the same. How's that? Alright, something's not working there. Let me check here. Racer James, how we doing, buddy? Appreciate you stopping by. You can see me struggle, I guess, trying to get this poly pulled back here. What I'm coming to realize, I guess, this coordinate to this poly is actually the same for that sidewall. I don't know how that is, but yeah, it's at 8.299. So maybe it is the X. Can't be the X though. Alright, let me look at that again. We'll figure it out. Alright, so we need to bring back that sidewall. I got my, not sure when you got in there, James, but I did get that that key clicker little tool in there. I got it in that black box there, so hopefully that'll, I find it pretty useful, so we'll see. Alright, so on this wall, okay, going to this vert, excuse me, this vert, I should be able to put the Y. Yeah, because I want to slide that back. I know it can't be the X because that's minus 60 there. Hold on a second. Alright, let's see. That does mouse movements as well. That was sort of cool. Yeah, looking forward to that. Scroll up and down. Oh, so it includes that as well, you mean? Alright, let me see. Yeah, so that can't be right as far as to bring that back. I'm trying to figure out a way to be able to bring this poly back. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Am I going about this wrong here, James? I mean, I seem to recall being able to take, you can kind of get an idea of what I'm trying to do here. So I want to pull, let's hide this. I want to pull this poly here. I want to pull that back because obviously I don't need this poly to go all the way to the edge. Oh, the edge of the poly, so not the poly itself. Okay, alright, that's what I was doing wrong. So the edge of the poly. So do I have to do that in edges or in the actual poly? I thought it was poly, to be honest, but let me check this here. So I would have to select the edge. Oh, I think I get it now. But I would have to break this though, right? Yeah, I think I'd have to break it. Or I'll try this first. Just for humor's sake, I'll show this off. Alright, let me unhide that again. Okay, I was going about it wrong. Okay, detached poly. Okay. Alright. Just a second here. Let me go. So poly. Let's see, was it break or not detach? Was it? Or I can do an edge break too, I suppose. Where's the break? Give me the break. Wait, that's not a detach. It's a break. Oh, so I do have to detach it. Okay, I get that confused sometimes as far as the break and the detach. Okay, so yeah, let me go ahead. I'll do the poly. Go ahead and detach that as an object or to an element, right? Yeah. Okay, so we'll do that, and just for sure, we'll do this one too. So poly detach as an element. All right. So now I should be able to take that edge, whoops, not border, edge, and whoops, I need to get that coordinate again just to make sure. Alright, so go to that vert, come on now, get on the right one here. So that vert, so I need to copy that X, yeah, because we know the Y is the same. Alright, now I'm going to hide that, go to this edge, and pull that. I'm going to paste that coordinate from that wall into here. Should work. I think it did. Alright, so it pulled that edge back, but did it pull the poly back? It's hard to tell. It pulled the edge, but it doesn't look like it pulled the poly. So hold on a second. Alright, can I... Oh, I see what it did. So yeah, it did pull it back. It just looks weird because it's dark. It moved the end poly? I don't... Here, let me check it. Let me render this real quick and see. It's hard to tell that way. Yeah, so it did pull that back. So when I rendered it here, I can actually see it. Here, let me zoom that in a little bit. I don't know what is up with my throat. Good grief. Came out of the blue. Alright, so hold on a second here. So if I render this, you can see... Yeah, see, it's actually cut that poly back now. I want to keep this edge, so now when this wall comes in here, that poly won't be there behind it. So sometimes hard to tell, yeah. So now if I bring that other wall back, you kind of showed this previous here. So now when this wall hits here, I won't have. So when you go to texture this is the whole idea. Whoa, gotta get used to that yet. Okay, so the whole idea behind this is once you go to texture this, you won't have to map it all the way behind this because you won't see it. And then as far as applying proper scaling to the texture and potentially doing your ambient occlusion for shading and all that stuff, you won't have that there. And we'll have to do that on the other end. The only other thing I need to do on this part is to, let's hide this, go to here, let's get this vert, spin this around here. I got to remove this poly. I don't need that either because that'll be hidden as well. Alright, so we need to remove this poly. Oops, I almost fell off the desk. Yeah, so remove this poly. Yeah, so we should be good there. Let's see if there's any other polys we need to take off of this. So like these bottom polys, we won't need these either because it won't be seen. Try to optimize it as much as possible. Alright, let's go polygon, select this, and get that out of there. Okay, so yeah, those polys won't be visible upon the finished product here. Alright, let me go ahead and hide this one here. We'll take this front poly off here as well. And we'll have to do the same thing for that front wall. Go ahead and delete this poly. Okay. And go into this vert So we need to do the same thing. Man, my voice already. Excuse me a second. Man, I don't know where that came from. I haven't been talking all day up until now. Of course, the weather's been kind of weird too. So, all right. So, what we need to do is get the coordinate of this x, which should relatively be the same as the one we did in the back. But I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. Okay. And then hide this. Again, I apologize for my voice. Wow, this is crazy. I don't know what's up with that. Alright, so hide this. Unhide that front wall, which should be box 4 here. Okay, and then I'm just going to rotate this around like so. So what we need to do is break this poly off so that we can scale this poly back the same ways that we did the back wall. This is the front wall as far as the front of the grandstand. So we'll need to break this or detach it as an element to an element, and we'll do this poly here too. This one, make sure to an element. Okay, and then go to this poly. Come on, go to this poly, and we want to basically roll that back. So we want to paste. Whoops, we're going to get an edge, that's right. Go to the edge and paste that X that we already copied into here, and it should roll that back. Whoops, did the wrong one. Did the wrong one. Hold on. Back it up. Back it up. Okay, did I not attach? Let me detach that edge as an element as well, too, just to make sure. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's try it that way. Okay, now paste that. Oh, what in the heck are you doing? It's getting the wrong. Did it not detach? Alright, hold on. Hold on. Alright, let's get this poly. Detach to an element. Edge 13 selected. Yeah, but that's the one I want to roll back though, I think. Second here. Let me try to detach that to an element. Okay. Yeah, so this edge, let me see, 13, that's part of the end. Yeah, but shouldn't that be the poly, this poly, right? Or, because I think that's what I did in the back, I just grabbed the edge. Because if I do that for the poly, that's not correct. Click the same edge again and it will cycle through selecting. Oh, so there's more than one edge in there. I got you. So how? That's pretty interesting. How would I get the right one though? That's a problem. Okay. I think I get what you're saying, but how do you go? Still on 13. How do I select the one I need? Yeah, it's only wanting to select 13. Hold on. Zoom in here a little bit, see if we can't. Da, 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 da. Oh, good Lord, that scared me. Forest Child, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Much obliged. That scared the bejesus out of me. I'm getting closer to that follower goal. I'm looking to get up to 75. So, yeah, can detach to another object so it only has one. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's possible too. I don't know why that didn't work, because it worked the same way, I guess, for the back. So okay, so we'll go ahead and detach both of these as an object. It's not going to hurt anything. Let's go into We'll go to this poly and detach that. We'll just do it as an object. That way we can make sure. So there's always one way, more than one way to do something. That edge is obviously in there, but as far as to be able to select it, you know, pretty reasonably then. Right. Nope. Gotcha, James. Thank you. So we're going to go to detach this to object. Okay. So now we have that completely detached. Now I should be able to go into this. Let's see here. Come on. Go into this one. This should be an editable poly. Okay. Now I should be able to grab this edge. Yep, that's edge 1. Let's see if we got the right one here. Legend Reborn, how you doing, man? Dude, your affiliate, good job. I knew you'd get there. Just a matter of getting that confirmation, that notification. Way to go, man. You got it. Hype it up. Good going, man. Okay, so this edge. Yeah, I hope you have fun with that, man. I know I'm having fun with it. It's actually giving me more ambition, I guess, to actually do some more streams, because there's so much more available, I guess, as far as for the viewers' pleasures, you know. Yeah, hype that stuff up. It's good stuff. I would have never thunk it myself, too. You were basically pronouncing much the same thing as far as TSI. As far as ever since I got involved with TSI, it's been just nuts. I mean, it's just taken off. I myself had sat on 40 some odd followers and less than 3 viewers on a regular basis forever. I mean, it was probably 6-7 months. And it took me not even 3 weeks, I guess, to get where I'm at right now. So nothing but good vibes and nothing good to say about TSI, that's for sure. Okay, so throat is killing me. What in the world? Excuse me 1 second, folks. Apologize for that. Had to clear my throat a little bit. I don't know where it's coming from. That's what's crazy. It's not even like a hairball or anything. It's just got scratchy all of a sudden. Drinking pretty liquids. That's all I can say. Yep, I sure did. I was there. And they just kept coming, which is pretty cool. Okay, so gotta gather my thoughts, just making sure my throat's nice and clear there. It was like crazy. It's nuts. Apologize for that. All right. Anyway, so what we need to do is get this edge to, and I'm gonna bring back that just to make sure I got it copied correctly. I'm gonna unhide that side again. So this box 1, and we need to copy this vert location. Whoop. Hold on, that's not on the right piece there. We got to go into this one, and we want to get it to that point. So we're going to copy that X. My brain has only just unfriendly. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it's pretty crazy as far as yeah, I know it was for me. It took me a while, I guess, just to get used to the idea that it's like, wow. Finally, don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, so now I'm going to hide this one again. Okay, go back into here. We're going to grab this edge and paste that coordinate into here. Hopefully that should work. There we go. See now, yeah. So what it ended up having to do is detach these as an object rather than an element to get that edge, because it was grabbing the wrong edge and just pulling this poly back instead, which is now detached as an object as well. So basically what I've done here is you can kind of see that, and just, you know, go ahead and render this so you can kind of see it better. I cut a hole into that, so that poly again, so just like the previous one there, when you go to texture this, you won't have to map this area because that won't be visible. So it's all part of optimizing the process of getting that textured. So we want to go into this model, into this piece. Let's I'm going to go on a vertex here. I found it's much easier if you can go on a vertex. It gives you more freedom, I guess, as far as being an orthographic view. Okay. Alright, so now that we got those polys for both the back and the front wall for the grandstand done, and I think I've already removed, let me check that again here, so I'm going to hide this, and oops, so we got several pieces here now. I might go ahead and I'll just go ahead and hide all this. Let's unhide the box one. Okay. Unhide this. So I think I removed that poly already. I just want to double check. And then what I'll probably end up doing is, let's zoom in on that. I'm going to attach, and actually I might leave it like that actually now that I think of it, because I need to do the other end. I think I got this poly removed. Yeah, that poly should be removed. I'm going to go ahead and render it so I can tell. Yeah, so that poly is removed, and I can tell that because that's black. If it wasn't this pink or whatever, it would still be there. Alright, so this side is done. This end of the grandstand is done as far as cutting that poly back. Alright, so okay, so now what we need to do is go to the other end and do the same thing. And let's go ahead and bring back, let's bring all this back. Okay, side of their plane. So we got this end done. Let's go to the other end. Zoom out here a little bit. Yeah, this little perch deal here, I'm going to do some more work on that. That's my rough piece there. That was kind of to help me get an idea of where the middle of this thing was. So I just got to, that's from the rough model. That's what's left from the rough model that I initially put out. That was, we showed all that off, I guess, last week, so I won't go into that again. Alright, so let's focus on this end. Okay, and we need to do the same thing we did on the other end. So we need to go to our vert here, and we need to select this vert and get that X, which is here. Okay, and then we're going to hide that. Okay. Oops, I guess okay, I'm going to take the seating area out too. So let's hide that. Alright, so the same thing here, and I think what I'm going to go ahead and just, for the sake of it, I'm just going to detach them as an object. So I'm going to go ahead and select this poly, detach that as an object, just for the sake of it. It worked last time before I did, but as far as the front wall there, it wasn't wanting to select the proper edge, so I'm just going to attach these as an object. Okay, so now we got those separate. So now I should be able to go into this. Come on. What are you doing? Oh, okay. Get out of that. Get into this poly. And I need to copy that or paste that. Well, I actually need the edge. My bad. So I need this edge. You want to move the edge, not the poly. And you'll be able to tell when you look in your chords here in comparison to what you copied. From the piece, the other piece there, you'll be able to tell. If it's way off, then you probably got the wrong one. It doesn't hurt, well, I mean, you can go ahead and try it all you want, but you always got the undo, that's for sure. So we'll paste that in there, so that should scale that back. Alright, let me zoom in on this here. So you can kind of see where the edge moved, and I'm going to go ahead and render this so you can kind of see there. It's kind of hard to tell, but you can tell from the bottom there. But let me go ahead and render this. So you can see it cut that poly, the edge of this poly here, cut it back. It's similar, just like the other edge. We don't need that there. Okay. So now we're going to do the same thing to the front wall here. It should relatively be the same coordinate, so I still have that copied to the clipboard. I haven't changed it yet. So let's get on a vert here. Z to zoom in on that. Okay. And you'll find I'll probably still repeat, I guess, some of the keystrokes, whatever, even though I've got that little telltale there. Will more or less help a little better, I feel. Alright, so saw my uptime there kind of blink there a little bit, just making sure it's still good. Okay, so now what we need to do is detach these pieces here so we can roll this poly. Technically, you should only have to, and I'll show this off here just to, for the sake of argument, should only need to, oh, this one's already broke up, that's right, I forgot about that. That was already broke up. Yeah, I forgot about that. So, yeah, that's probably good mention. So the fact that I already detached this as a its own piece, I guess, if you will, that carries down, obviously, to the other end. So I don't have to do it on this end, because this is all one piece. So, and it probably was the same thing with here, too, but it just, like I said, for the sake of it, I think it works better. And it might depend on whatever it is you're building on. Primarily, a lot of times what you can do is just attach it as an element and then just go to that edge. But the fact that we were having trouble selecting the proper edge to move, as far as the poly we were trying to adjust, it may behoove you to go ahead and just attach it as an object. You can always recollapse all those different pieces once you have it done the way you want, and there's no harm, no foul there. So let's select, okay, which piece am I on here? Okay, we got that one, and this one. Okay. Why is it not selecting that poly? Hold on a second. What is it selecting there? Okay. It's the only thing that's kind of wonky about the orthographic. If you don't, I found it much easier to have, at least one vertice selected. So here, let me render this real quick here. I don't know what's going on. Alright, so that should be its own object there. So just a second. I need to get this. Why isn't it selecting that? Okay, hold on. Let's see, 5. Got so many pieces in here now that might be just that's 4, 3. I'm just going to take note of this here. 2. Okay, that's the one I want right there. I don't know why I wouldn't select. That's kind of weird. There we go. So we want this poly. And as I said, I've already got that coordinate. Actually, I need the edge. See, I already screwed up again. So I got to get this edge. And I should be able to paste this into there. There. See, I already had it still copied onto the clipboard. So yeah, you can kind of tell. But there, I'll go ahead and render this so you can see. You can see here that it's cut that edge, move that edge of that poly back. Alright, so nope, I don't want to do that. I want to render this. So you can kind of see. So you can see the black there. So let's cut that. Let's move that edge of that poly back. Okay, so we know that's good. And it's following that edge. Where I moved this is that inside edge of this outside wall. So if I bring this one back like so, what that's following is this inside edge here. See? So that's where I cut this poly, is right into this corner. So it meets up here perfectly. And again, the purpose for doing that is so that you can map here. You don't need to map this area as far as when you're applying your texture. You don't need that map because you don't see that. Okay. So now we'll go ahead. I think what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to take this object 3. And this is partially the only bad thing, I guess, about detaching these all as separate objects, is because now I got to go ahead and put these all back together. So let's do that. Let's go that. Got to make sure I got all the right stuff. Yep. Okay, hold on. I got to make sure this vertex. Let me grab this vertex so I can turn this around like that. Alright, so I think I might have had the wrong objects. I just want to make sure I got all these pieces because I want to collapse these together. So I'm done doing what I need to do with that. Alright. And they can be redetached if we find it necessarily along the road. That's, like I said, no harm, no foul in doing that. So so I need box 4, which is the original piece. Yep, that's all part of box 4. Just checking these out. So I got box 4, object 2, 3 I think is the end wall. What is 3? Oh, 3 must be, hold on. What is 3? So I got so many things to detach now. Yeah, 3 is the other end there, okay. Just making sure. Alright, so I need 2. I just want to put some of these back together. So 4. Okay, 4 I don't need. 5. Yeah, this is partially the only bad thing I guess about detaching this all separate objects is now I could just go ahead, in fact I'll do that, make it easier on myself. Just go like this, I'll drag select this, it should select all those pieces. Yep, so it's just box 4 and object 2. And I want to make sure, yeah, that should be good. So I'll go ahead and collapse this together. So I'm done doing what I need to do there. Okay, then just kind of clean this up a little bit here so I don't have to have so many pieces. Alright, so I'm going to vertex for that. And the only other bad thing is I gotta convert this to another, I'll do that right away too. Convert this to an editable poly. Just so that being able to do anything further with it if I need to, it's already there. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna drag this around, turn this around. We already got this done. We're going to need to do the same thing to the back wall here in a minute. Just want to double check right here. I'm going to go ahead and hide this and see if that hides correctly. Alright, I think we're good there. Okay, so we'll go ahead, unhide that. That's object 1. Oh, that's my seating plane. Okay. So object 1 we don't need just yet. Hide that, and we'll unhide object 2. Okay, so that's our front wall. So object 2 is our front wall. And I'm going to go ahead, just to make it easier on myself. Object 2 is our front wall, so I'm going to go ahead and rename this so I know what that one is. So I'm just going to put this on here. And this may change as I do this, but like I said, make it easier on yourself. Okay, so that's our front wall. Okay, so this, did we already, I think we already did apply that to the back wall now I think of it. So I'm going to double check that. Pivot this around. And let's go ahead and hide this. Yeah, so we already did that back wall. So that should all be good to go. The only other thing I should need to do is, let me unhide box 3 and hide these two. I think this one here too is it's all in pieces here too. So let's go ahead and do this. Collapse that all together, that's my back wall. Alright, so I'm going to collapse this. Yeah, collapse selected. I'm going to rename this to back wall. Just for the sake of ease. Alright, so we'll rename that, go back into here, and I'm going to convert this back to an editable poly. Okay, just for that sake, and then we'll go ahead and hide it. And the reason I want to do that is because I need to get to this back poly here. I need to do the same thing as far as remove that poly. I think, is it already removed? Check it. I'll check it out. So let's render this. Second here. Kind of hard to tell. I think it's already removed. Might have already done that. I think it is, but let's go ahead. Polygon. Can't tell if it's there or not. What did that do there? Why is it? Hold on. Oh, I think I see what it did. Okay, I missed this piece. I see what it did. Alright, hold on. I think I see what it did. Hold on. Gotta clean this up. I don't think I got all the pieces for that back wall. Let me double check. Yeah, I think this is a remnant of, hold on. Yeah, this is a remnant. I need that piece here to be collapsed. Okay, let me bring that back for the back wall. Yeah, this is that piece there. So I need the back wall and this piece. That's the end poly for that. I was wondering what the heck was going on there. So it's probably the same on the other one. I'm gonna go ahead and collapse this. Okay. And hide it. Okay. Now, this is what I wanted to do. So in here, yep, that's still an editable poly. I need to take this end poly out, so we don't need that one either. So go into polygon, go to here, and delete that one. We don't need that. And the same goes for the bottom poly here. This will not be visible, so we don't need it. We don't need to map it, texture it, or anything like that. So we'll take that out. Alright. Go to the front here. I'm going to hide this front wall. Got that. And we need to remove the front poly off of this one, because this one will not be needed. Watching this in some of my other streams is so enlightening. It's much easier to see other ways of doing things when you aren't actively doing. Yeah, it is, because when I watch you, you know, I learned things that I wasn't aware of, and then when you're actually doing it and you've seen it done, it's just like, okay, how did that get done? You know, so it's like digging right into it. So it's very helpful either way. And I know you had mentioned, James, I guess, as far as how much more quickly you're able to work on the object you were working on last week, much more, quicker, because you weren't having to, pause and whatever. As far as the streaming thing, I think it gets call it jitters, call it whatever you want. I think it's, but for me, I just do it casually. It's just I'd be doing the same thing as if I was doing it off stream. So, but the fact that you have someone that knows a little bit about it too, as far as to say, hey, hold on, you did that wrong, or you can do it this way, kind of helps a little bit. Okay, so we got that poly removed, so we don't need that, and so that should be all good to go here. And I'm going to render this just to make sure. I can kind of tell there, but a good way to tell even better is to render it. See, that's all black there, so that's gone. Also comparing it to a building and building an in real life house, how you build it piece by piece instead of working backwards from the, yeah, that's for sure. As far as reverse engineering, I mean, you can do it either way. I mean, I found myself reverse engineering to see how it was put together, to better determine how to put it together, maybe even better. Sometimes I've done that for a lot of different objects, as far as just to decompile it to say, how was that done, and could it be done better? I guess that's kind of been my my way of looking at it anymore. It's just like, could it necessarily have been done better, or can I use, by reverse engineering it, is this actually a feasible way to do it? If you can get from the finished thing faster, you can get it put together a whole lot easier, but it is very difficult to master it. Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, it's taken me a while to get to this point. between watching what you do and you've tried to explain it in verbiage, it's this through text messages and what have you. It's to me, it's so much easier to do it in this fashion. To have the interaction in the chat, like I said, have somebody that knows a little bit about what you're doing, and say, hey, have you tried it this way? Some people might necessarily take that, as like backseat gaming. It's like you come here, don't tell me how to do. I know what it's comfortable for me, and if I would have continued on the same path that I was, I would never be that efficient. To be honest, that's the way I look at it anymore. I would continue to keep doing the way I was doing things wrong, as far as not having things lined up and so on. It's just, and yeah, the work would show in that. So as far as the quality of it, anyway, throat's starting to get a little scratchy again. So yeah, we've got all our polys removed off of that. So we're going to bring back our front wall, and I'm going to have to fix because I think in that back wall too, we got a poly that we might have missed on the other end there, since we detached that as an object. So I'm going to bring back that back wall, which should be object 5. Yeah. So we need to go on that other end. Okay, let's go down to here. And I think I left out this poly down in this end here, so I'm going to go ahead, grab this selection here, just to get some verts. Yeah, and like I said, I found it to be a little bit easier to select vert in orthographic view than it is, depending on how big your object is and whatnot. But be it the fact that this thing is so big, I find it easier to grab a vert as far as an orthographic, and it'll focus on that, so it's not all wonky. Still getting used to it, but alright, so I want to make sure okay, maybe that is still attached there, I'm not sure. Just want to make sure. Let me hide this again and see if I can tell. Yeah, so that's all a piece. I wasn't sure if that end poly there, so I think I did it a little bit differently on the other end that I recall. So okay, so now we're gonna bring that back. So we got that all done. The only thing I'm gonna do is rename this back to back wall. Okay, because we recollapsed it. Every time you recollapse it, it's gonna rename your deal there. So you don't have to freak out about it. Just you have to be wary of it. Okay, and that's probably the only downside, I guess, to detaching stuff as an object. It's going to put it all in different pieces, and you have to kind of put them all back together, as opposed to just doing it as an element. It won't necessarily do that. So, yeah, let's get focused on that. So I think, let me review this here again. We got our poly for the back wall. We got all those polys scaled back so that these end walls, whatever, fit inside there. We've removed the polys from the ends of these end walls. Just trying to review, I guess, as far as where we're at. Let me hide this again. So yeah, we got that removed. Yep. It's kind of hard to tell there, but I can tell that's this front poly here is no longer there. So we'll go ahead and front wall. And then we put our seating in last week. So I'll bring that back real quick. So we got our plane there, and what we did, this is one of the last things we did in the stream last week, was to put our plane in here for our seating area. And based on the information that I have available from the picture reference for the grandstand I'm trying to construct here, there was really no kind of bleachers or anything like that. It was just concrete. So we had cinder block basically making the walls here. No, this was just concrete. So really interesting way it was built, I suppose, as far as not having it. It was just people just kind of sat up on here. It's kind of all willy-nilly. It's not a really steep slope, So it's not like people would necessarily slide down. The fact that I think it was concrete, kind of gave you something to hold on to, I suppose. It's not slippery. So this is something interesting that I kind of found out, I guess, about this grandstand trying to create. And I had kind of showed some pictures of it before. Let me see if I can bring it up here. So my working folder for that, I think, if I scroll back here a little bit, this is all my, yeah, I don't think it necessarily shows it there. Yeah, let's go into the pictures here. You can kind of get an idea. Let's kind of summarize, I guess, as far as what we're trying to build here. There's really not a really, I'm kind of stepping on my tongue here, but it's like there's not a really good picture of it. I mean, I've got this one here as far as the back side of it, so you can kind of get an idea of the slope of it and all that stuff there. That's kind of what we got going on here. Go back to our model. You can kind of get an idea of what's going on here. So we go into here. This is, I can move this around. Yeah. So yeah, you can get an idea by looking at this picture of what we've had to go by. So practically very limited information. You can kind of get an idea of this here. Now, be it the fact I did not have a really good top-down picture, which would be the approach that you would take as far as to put a ground plane, which we did do. And that obviously does work out very well. But not having a good satellite image, say for example, so I've got this one here I could have probably used. It's pretty grainy, but again, you can kind of get the idea. Now, this is a really old picture. This is the fair mention too. The grandstands before they got demolished actually extended all the way down to here. So this is why you might ask, as far as like, why does your model look so long? The original model for it, and this is a really old picture, like I said, as far as during construction, I guess, possibly. But the grandstand that I'm trying to build here actually was extended all the way out to this here. And then there's a little building behind here, which I do have constructed too, very loosely, and I'll probably go over that in another stream. Because that one's going to need to be rebuilt, because that was done in the old conventional ways, so don't necessarily want to. But when I say conventional ways, it's just wrong way. I mean, it's got a lot of uneven edges and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's just a little bit of a recap as far as the type of information that's been made available, I guess, for this particular. A lot of the other information that I've gotten is just from the Historical Society for the speedrome that it's portraying, that's it's being portrayed from. That's all I've had to go on. So again, the whole idea of having very limited information to be able to create something based on that limited information. So this is what these streams more or less. Now, it's obviously a lot easier to create something when you've got all the information. I mean, if you got blueprints for it, that's great. But you don't always have that. So, okay, yeah, this is the grand building, and this is a loose model too. I'll bring this up here real quick. This is the building that I created that goes behind it, and it's done very rough. This is a 3DO model, I guess, primarily for Enter 2003. But you get the idea of the roughness of this there. I wanted to get an idea. Again, I use this as a placeholder to determine the size of the original grandstand. So this is something else that alright, good luck, man, with the rest of this. Oh, yep. Thanks for stopping by there, James. Appreciate it. Yeah, watch those bulkheads too, by the way. I caught that in your Facebook feed. Be careful there. Don't hurt yourself. But yeah, this is what I had used, as a placeholder to, because we knew the size of this building based on that picture I showed previously. So yeah, we kind of used that to our advantage. This will obviously get rebuilt. I'm not 100% happy with the way it is. It's got a lot of, yeah, I don't have, like, I want to create overhangs, the slight overhangs as far as on the gables and stuff like that. This is all pretty flat. this is a very quick map. I know the scaling for the cinder block and all that stuff is very done primitively. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I wanted to get even the texture for this one here, as far as getting this to stretch like that. We can do that a lot better. As far as like that. This is all in one texture, so I basically took one side, and I think I can show that texture just real quick. The texture for that building, you can get the idea here. So it just uses this entire side, and it's not 100% wrong, but I think what could be done better and easier is to probably segregate this out so that this side has its own side and then the other side has its own. You know what I mean? As far as like this will be one side and then have another side. This here, these are the gable ends. This is the other side as it is right now. And like I said, I'm not 100% satisfied with the scaling of the texture and all that stuff like that. It was a pretty decent concept, but it can be done a lot better in a much more efficient fashion. So we'll go back to our main Grand, and these are all the objects that I've created here. I've got individual 3D people for it and all that stuff, which will have to be adjusted once we get this new model created. That's all based on the rough model. This is all my work process for this particular model. There's the texture, which I do have open actually. This is my initial wire. I don't know if that shows up in the stream there. Let me move this over. I don't know if that necessarily shows up in the stream very well, but you can see the outline as far as the rough map and how a lot of these different faces are overlapped. They're not mapped correctly. So don't 100% go by this, but this will give you an idea of you have the ability to be able to create your wire frame to apply your texture, so you know exactly what you're working with, as far as like if you wanted to map the side of this piece or this or the plane for your seating area and all that stuff. You can do that, and it helps you, I guess, by being able to put this all together and get your wire map for your UVW unwrap. You can better place this. This is 100% what I did. I got the UV unwrap for that. This is what I did, and then that's how I started to lay out the texture for it. And these are all in layers. I can go over that, probably at another time there, but you can get the idea of what's going on with it. I got several different types here. I got painted and unpainted cinder block. We got some windows. This is an overlay, I guess, for opening in here without, that's for the perch. I'll kind of show that a little bit here in a second. Let's bring this over here, zoom in on that. So on this perch here, it's not 100% 3D. You can kind of tell it's just got an overlay to make it look from a distance anyway. And whether or not I'll make this 3D, that's yet to be determined. I'm not 100% sure. I kind of like the idea of how that turned out with the roof and all that. I know that the texture scale is 100% wrong, so don't go by that. But I just wanted to get an idea of what it would take, I guess, to get these to line up. Be it that these faces are all separate, and you wouldn't necessarily have to get these seams, for the wood planks or whatever, to line up properly. So, okay, well into an hour into it. I'm trying to get into a discipline of only keeping these streams, I guess, at right about 2 hours, no longer than 2 hours, because it becomes very difficult being able to get the Twitch, the archives as far as on the Twitch channel up onto YouTube, since the Twitch archives do tend to purge off after a period of time. So yeah, just keeping an eye on the time, and if there's anything in particular, anybody in the chat that has particular questions that they have about this whole process, as far as how to do anything as far as the 3D modeling, just feel free to chime it off in the chat, and I'll see if I can answer it for you. Throat's getting a little bit better. Just continue to hydrate. I see a lot of streamers too. I've noticed there's some streamers that in their chat bot there, they have a hydration notification in there. It's like, make sure to drink water. I find that kind of amusing, but just the fact that I've got the scratchy throat and having to drink a lot of agua. Alright, so I'm just looking over as far as what else we need to do with this thing here. I think we're pretty much good to go. As far as faces that we need to remove. The other thing that I'm thinking here, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. What I don't need, you know, based on this seating plane. Oops, let's go into that. So based on this seating plane, I don't need all this poly on the inside of these end walls, you know, and even on the as far as the front and the back, I don't need all this poly showing. So I only need this part showing as far as to map it, if that makes sense. So I need to bring up and remove the poly, so that'll be that bottom edge for each of these up to where this actually is. So what I would have to do in that case, so like for the front wall, I would have to get the Z for that vert, and I'd have to move that edge, that bottom edge, the inside edge for this wall up, so that it meets up with that vert for that seating plane. So that's something else we're going to need to do. And that's going to create the necessity to break that up again into to an object so that we can do that. So let's go ahead. With all that said, we're going to hide this and hide this. Okay. And then we're going to go highlight this plane, seating plane. Go into this. We're going to zoom in on that. I'm not sure why it didn't go all the way in, but okay. Alright, so basically what we need to do, I might have screwed that up a little bit, now that I think of it. Oh, no, never mind. Yeah, because this one's going to be still going to be covered. So this vert here is where we want to bring this edge that now exists up to. So picture, if you will, on this wall, oops, select that wall. So on this poly, we need to move that edge up to where this seating edge is, because we don't need any of this. It's not going to be visible. As far as texturing and whatever, we don't need that. So what we need to do is on that seating plane, let's go back to the seating plane, and it should be the same vertex on the Z. You need to copy that Z and bring that edge for this front wall up to it. And you'll see what I'm talking here in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this onto the clipboard. Z for that vertex on that seating plane. Okay, and then I'm going to have to break this up with this poly here again, up. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this polygon and attach. Yep, to an object. There we go. So now I should be able to take this edge, in theory that should work, and paste that Z into what we just copied. So paste, bring that up. Nope, see, I did the wrong one there, so it must have still been attached there. So we're going to go ahead and undo that. No problem. So we're going to take that edge and actually detach that as well to an object. Okay. So let's do that. So now, alright, so let's go into here. See if we can grab that edge here. Yeah, so you can tell, so now it doesn't go all the way to the end. So I just attached the edge there so that it's separate from this, because we only want to move this edge up. I think what it moved there, I guess, was the the backside edge there, I think. Not 100% sure, but it wasn't the proper one anyway. So now we'll do it again. So we'll go into this, and the edge, we want to paste. Hello. Want to paste that in there and go move that up. So that moved that edge all the way up there, and I can already see I got to remove this poly on the bottom of this wall, so we'll get to that in a minute. So I just move that edge up in there, and I'll go ahead and render this so you can see. Okay, let's move it on this. Zoom in here a little bit. Go ahead and render that, and you can see exactly what's going on. So what it did was it moved the edge of that poly up to the edge of that seating plane. So now we no longer have this poly down here. I don't have to worry about texturing that, because this is the only thing that's going to be visible is up to this point. Okay, and that should be the same all the way across that. Alright, so we can go double check that just to ensure we're good there. Let's select this vert, swing it around this way. Okay, zoom out on this one. I'm going to check it out on this end just to make sure. It should be good. It should be, that edge should have followed up all the way down. But we'll check it out. Alright, so swing this around. I'm doing some 3D modeling here. I'm creating a, I don't know if you had stepped away or not, but we're creating a 3D model of a grandstand to be used in a, primarily this is for a racing simulation, but it could potentially be used for anything. You know, be it the fact that we have the raw model here, it can be ported practically into anything if you so chose. And basically, what this, if you can imagine, like I said, I'll zoom in on this a little bit. I've got the end panels and all this stuff in here, but this is eventually going to be textured. It's just colored, you know, a clay model, if you will. So the only textures that I have on here is my rough model for my perch. As far as the center of this, I want to get a perspective as far as like the center of this this entire model. So, well, thank you. Yeah, this is something, you know, kind of the realm, the other main realm I guess I enjoy doing primarily, besides the gaming. You know, gaming is always fun too. I usually do that casual. This is where I find my joy, as far as creating practically something out of nothing, based on informations that are available in the free world, as far as, you know, common building practices and stuff of that nature. I have this is a continuation. This build is obviously a continuation of what we already started last week. You know, showing how to actually get the proper thickness of a cinder wall, you know, based on the known dimensions of a singular cinder block and all that. And that's how we were able to get, you know, the scale of this thing done properly as you see it. So yeah, so now we've got, just checking this end here too. You can see that the edge of that poly ended up in the same position as the other end, because we don't need this down here. And that's not gonna, you're not gonna be able to see it. Yeah, I'm glad you like it there, Legend. I appreciate that. A lot of people don't necessarily know what all goes into creating something. You know, we always ooh and ah, I guess, and you know, we play these different games. It's like, wow, and it's just like, don't necessarily understand what goes into making those types of things. So this is how a lot of these things get done. So this is what I like to show off. So what I'm coming to find here, let me zoom in on that. Alright. What I'm coming to find here, I need to remove the bottom poly for, let me put it on a vert here. Let's do it this way. Zoom in on that. Okay. So what I'm finding I need to do is, let me zoom out of that a little bit. I think I got a bottom poly on here that I need to remove, because that's not going to be visible either. I'm trying to clean this up as much as possible as far as going into texturing it. Alright, let me render this real quick. Yeah, so I think we got a poly here that we don't need, so we're going to remove that. When I say poly, you know, the full term of it is a polygon, if you weren't aware of that. Okay, so what we need to do on this piece, I think I'm going to make sure I got the right one selected. Come on. Okay, that should be front wall. Yeah, that should be in there. So where's that polygon at? Hello? Oh, there's that poly. Maybe it is already removed. Give me a minute here. I gotta figure this out. Now, there's a poly there. Why is it, I detached that edge, so maybe. There it is. So there's the poly we need. So that's in its own object. Okay. So, yeah, what I was trying to do is get this poly removed. We don't need this. There we go. So now if I go ahead and render that, I should be able to tell. Yep, there we go. So that's no longer there. You don't see the pink here, so I know that's removed. And plus you can see, do we got an issue with, I have to check this edge here. It looks like that I got foobarred there a little bit. We'll check that out. Alright, so I need to go into here. There's the vert. Let's rotate this around. We need to check. Alright, let me render this up here. And I think it's just because I got that this end panel here, I guess, hidden. But I want to render this here just to see what's going on. Yeah, I think that's all it is. I think we're good to go there. Yeah, so the fact that our end piece, as far as our end wall, is going to butt up with this front wall here, so this won't be visible. So none of this is visible. So this is where our seat plane is, and this is where our side wall butts up to this end wall inside of it for the front and the back wall. So, okay. Just had to check that to make sure, because it looked funky from this end. Check it from this way again. Yeah, see, I was noticing this here and I thought that was all detached, which it's not, so that's good. So yeah, we got our seat plane meeting up with the bottom edge of this poly on the inside of that front wall, so we're good. We be all good. Okay, so I got that poly removed, that's adjusted. Good to go. Alright, now for the slope, it's going to be a little bit different because as far as to get it on these end panels, I'm going to have to do each vert independently to get that up there, beat the fact that the slope is not a straight line. So we don't want that to be, you know, go up at the same rate, if you will. So on our side walls, we're going to have to take the verts for that, detaching it and all that jazz separately, so that it's alright, so we got both ends of those good. I'm just double checking here. So we want to, whoops, just want these here, zoom in on that. What I need to do now is move the back wall, which is there, so I need to detach. Right. Yeah, let me go ahead and reattach all this here first, just so that I have that. So I'm going to take all this. Whoops, hold on. Alright, so how many pieces do I have there? So I detached. Oh, bear with me a second. Yeah, so the only problem that I've found as far as detaching all the different elements, you want to make sure that those are all reattached. So I'm going to hide this for a second, the seat plane. Okay, and then I'm going to select all this. So I want to reattach all this. Yeah, so that's showing two objects. Okay, so I'm going to recollapse this, and I can always uncollapse it again if need be. I shouldn't need to. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and rename this back to front wall, just for the sake of knowing. Alright. Alright, so I got that renamed. Alright, get this vert, swing this around. Alright, so now that's all reattached. So now we're going to need to detach this edge here, so we need to move this edge basically up to where that slope meets up here, because we got, you know, the 36 inches that are showing, that are visible there. So what we need to do is go to this edge. We're going to get the appropriate edge. Whoop. What am I on there? Okay, we need to get edge. Yeah, that should be the proper edge. So we just need to break that edge on this poly. Okay, should be able to detach. Oh, wait a minute. We'll go back to poly. Go to the poly here and we'll detach that. Oops, I think I'm scrolled up here. That's what it is. Yep, so detach that. There we go. Now I can go into that edge. Nope, see, that's not doing it right. See, it's all the way to the end here. That's how I know that's not the right. So I need to detach that. I don't know why that's not detaching. It did it on the other end, so hold on a second. Bear with me. Yeah, the reason I can tell if I were to move this, it would move this end too, and I don't want to do that. I only want to move it over here. So I think I've got this already detached here. So I need to grab this edge. Yeah, there we go. But what I need to do is get the coordinates for the vert on the upslope first. So go back. Let me backtrack here a little bit. I need to unhide. That should be box 3. And I need to get the coordinate for the Z. Alright, let me select that here. I'm going to get here. Actually, I need it for the seat plane. My bad. Okay, getting ahead of myself. Hide that. I need to bring my seat plane back, which is this one. Okay, so then I need to select that. I need the coordinate for this Z, which I'm going to go ahead and copy. We're going to use that to bring this edge on this poly up to it. Okay, so having that information, we're going to go ahead and rehide this. Go back to here. Go to polygon. Okay. Let's zoom in on that. Alright, and then we want to select the edge of that poly, which we already do. And we're going to paste what we just copied into this edge. And that should essentially, did that work? Hold on. Paste. How did that not work? Okay, hold on. Did it not detach? Oh. Snap, what the heck? Oh, it did move up there. Okay, I guess I just had to snap, click out of it. It was weird. I was like, why is it not moving? Alright. So yeah, now what we've done is we moved that edge for that poly up to where that slope is for the... So now that slope, as far as for the seating area, that's going to meet up with this here. And that should be the same all the way down. All the way across here. See? So we should be able to put our seating plane back in here and see what's going on. So unhide, we're going to unhide our seating plane. So you can see how that meets up with that. So we don't need that poly in there because that's not going to be visible. So as far as texturing it, it's going to make it much easier as far as to apply that more appropriately. And especially if you're going to end up wanting to create your ambient occlusion as far as your shadow bake and all that. So now the other thing is we need to be able to cut out from the side end panels, because we got all that poly that's going to show underneath the seating area as well. So we're going to have to adjust those accordingly. Okay, and we can do that independently. We don't want to do it in the edge, we want to do it by the vert. So we'll have to break the edges up for that and all that too. So let's we need to unhide our box 3. Okay. We know what we already got that pasted for that, so we're going to keep that on there. So what we need to do is we need to hide our seating plane. Okay. And then on this vert, we need to detach this poly here, so we'll go ahead and detach that. Oop, wrong one. I go to detach as an object. Okay, so now we should have this poly here detached, and then we should be able to just grab this edge for that poly. Now, the one that we do know, we already have it still copied to that, and we have to do these independently because this is going to end up being up on an angle. So we need to copy or paste for this vertex here on this poly. We need to move that up. Now that we got that poly detached, if we wouldn't have detached this, it would have really screwed that up. So that's probably fair mention to that. So what we should be able to do is on the vertex for this poly here that we've already detached, we should be able to paste that into there, and it should ride that up like so. See, so let's move that up to that, so that should all be the same level as it's kind of hard to tell with it's all the same color, but let me see here. See if I can render this here. It should show up a little bit better. Yeah, so see, as you can imagine, so now that edge, let me turn this a little bit. Turn it like so, and you can get a better idea. So what we've done is we've moved that edge up in here, so that lines up here, so that seating plane will be right on the bottom edge of this, and all that poly below it will be dismissed. We won't need it anymore. Okay, so now have to do that the same way in the front side of that for that same panel. Okay, so we need to get the coordinate once again for a second here. That should still be detached. So on this poly here, go to this vert and make sure I get the right vert. Zoom in on that. Focus on it. Focus. Alright. Turn that around. So what we need to do is get this vertex coordinate as far as the Z. Okay, so we'll copy that and we'll paste it to the vert of this poly here. So we go to this vert, oops, select that vert and paste that to here. So that moves that up. So now we've got that perfectly aligned with that one. So the same as the upslope. We've now got this poly, and that's only affected this inside poly of this wall, not this side. If we didn't attach that or whatever, we would move that entire thing up there, and this would be all hollow under there. We don't want that. Okay. So that should do it for that end. And again, if I was to bring the seat plane back there, you would see how that would line up with that bottom edge, all between here and up on the upslope here. Okay. So now what we'll do, swing this thing around, we'll do the other end. Okay, you need to bring that piece back. So unhide that. Bring back box 1. Highlight that, focus on it. So now we need to do the same thing we did on the other end, is we're going to detach this poly as an object. I keep doing that. I detach that as an object. Okay, and then by detaching that, what are you doing? Hold on. So yeah, should be able to go into here, select that poly. Actually, we need that vert, and be it the fact that we still have it copied on the other from the other end, we can move that vert for this poly up first. Alright, so we need to take the vert of this poly. You can see it's selected, and paste Z in for that. Okay, so that's done. Move that up. Okay. Well, do you mind throwing out alert? Yeah, I could probably do that once I get off stream here. I'll probably be on for about another half hour or so. And yeah, I'd be happy to oblige that. Saw he was on your stream there earlier, there, Legend. So once I am through with what I'm doing here, I can definitely do that. Yep, you bet. No problem. So we all got to get there somehow, so yep. Alright, so I'm just making sure. So now I need to get the coordinate again for that, that Z. I could have necessarily pasted that, now that I think of it, into that. Would have been probably a little bit more efficient, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is go into this one here. Should be able to select that, yeah. So we need to get the Z for this, for that vert, once again. Okay, so we need to copy that. Put that on the clipboard. What are you doing? Okay, just making sure, and then we need to go back into this piece here. Now we need to move that vert for this poly and paste that in. Now it's done moved that the edge of that poly for that vert up to that edge. And then we can go ahead and render that just to verify. Come on, there we go. Okay. Alright. So now so I can go ahead and render this. See, now we can see that that's all lined up there. So our seating plane will end up being right on the edge of that corner there. So that looks like that's completed. Alright. So now we've got our polys adjusted so that we can properly texture them without, you know, adding wasted space, I guess, as far as that goes. So yeah, this is getting a little down. Oh yeah, I don't doubt that. I did the same thing, and it wasn't until I got yeah, that's what Streamers Initiative is all about, helping each other out. That's getting to this. We all have the same goal. So okay, so now I'm going to bring my seating plane back. Okay, and there we go. So we should have all that we need to do, and I think I might have a little bit of cleanup to do as far as to re-collapse all these pieces together. So I'm going to go through this really quick. So I got to do some cleanup as far as all this here. So I'm going to go ahead and hide. Got to get out of that first. Let's hide this because this is all good. This is all just one piece. This. Alright, so let's hide that. Yep, so we still got this as its own piece. Alright. Go ahead and hide that. Just going to break this down so I can get these all recollapsed into their appropriate deals there. So let's go. So this one, yeah, there we go. I was going to say, yeah, that should have two pieces there. So I'm going to recollapse that into back wall. And what it does, and it's, I think I've mentioned this several times before, every time you recollapse, it's going to rename your, that part there, because I had it as back wall, plus it reverts it back to a editable mesh as opposed to a poly. So if you want to do any of the adjustments that I've been making it as I've been showing, then you need to be sure to convert it back into an editable poly. Otherwise you won't have those options available. Okay, so go ahead and reconvert this back to an editable poly now that I said that. And I'm going to rename this to back wall. So I got that all. Okay. Alright. So we got that back. We got that now to back wall. And then I'm going to go ahead and select all this, which there should be two pieces there as well, which is primarily that one and that one there. So we're going to recollapse that into one object. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and convert that back to an editable poly. Just so we have it, and rename this to front wall. Alright, so we got that recollapsed. So we'll go ahead and hide this. And hide this. I think that bottom poly for that piece there's got to come off too, so we'll get to that here in a second. Alright, let's select this over here. I'm just showing the process for cleanup as far as going through what we just did there. You want to make sure you have all your pieces together. And probably what I'll end up doing is keeping this all separate so that I have a better way of being able to select the polys and whatnot that I want to as far as texturing it. I'll probably end up making separate wireframes for each end as well as the back and front, whatever like that, so I can possibly texture those independently. I think that'll work a lot better. And you never know, it may not. But in my head, whatever, that would be the optimal way to do that. So, alright, so for this, we need to select, should be two pieces there as well. So that's primarily that, and then this poly here. So we're going to collapse that into all together. Collapse, selected, alright. Okay, and then we're going to convert that back to an editable poly. And rename this to, we're going to do this one as side right. And the naming conventions of this doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, you can use whatever naming conventions you want. I'm just trying to keep it simple, because it could necessarily turn out that I'll have to step on the name of it again eventually. So, okay, we'll go ahead and hide that. Now I want to unhide. We should have the object 1 I know is my seating plane, and so it should be the box 1 and the object 8. So we'll go and zoom in on that. Yep. So these two pieces here I need to collapse together. This is our side left. Alright, so go ahead, collapse that together. Alright, so we got that collapsed. I'm going to convert this back to an editable poly as well. And rename this to side left. Okay, and as I said, the naming conventions, use them to what's ever easier for you. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hide that. And I'm going to take a look at our list there and see what we have now. So our object plane, I'm going to go ahead and unhide this and rename this to seat plane. That way it's just That one I should not have to do anything. That's a pretty self-explanatory thing. There's not a whole lot of adjustment I need to make to that one. So now I got my back wall, my front wall. I think on the back wall I'm going to bring that back. And I think the bottom poly needs to come out. I think I got to check that. Need to check it. So we'll select this vert down here. Okay. Yep. And I think we got here's that poly still on the bottom of that, so I'm going to need to remove that. Yep, so that poly is still in there, so I need to remove that. That is no longer going to be visible. I shouldn't say no longer, it wouldn't be visible at all. So it's going to be facing the ground, so it doesn't need to be mapped. Not even going to know what's missing, to be honest. Okay, so let's go back into unhide all of our pieces. Okay, so now we got all of our pieces. And I'm just going to double check on all these pieces again, just to reassure myself that I do indeed have all those appropriate polys missing. Yep, so those are gone. I'll render that real quick just to see. Yep, it's kind of hard to tell in there, but yes, those polys, so there's no poly on the bottom of that. Okay. Then we'll slide this down to the other end, check that in. Slide this down here, it should be the same down here. So let's go down here, select this, vertex. Let's get this vertex here. I'm going to kind of change the angle here a little bit, so we can look and reassure that we do not have any bottom polys. Yep. See, there's no bottom polys on these, so this is all empty, which is what we want. So I do believe that's about all I had to really go over for this stream, as far as just to get the model prepared for potential texturing. So now what I should be able to do, and I've already shown off this here, I won't go by this wire, so ignore that. But as far as the layout of this thing here, this will potentially be, I guess, what I would use, I guess, to texture. This is all the cinder block for the front wall. This is what I had it as. This is the front wall, the back wall, our side, and our sides. So those are all independent, and you have to have it that way as far as if you ever want to be able to apply AO baking. You can't have them overlapping. If you have them overlapping, then your shadow, as far as when you apply the ambient occlusion, it's not going to be favorable. So this is why, as far as flatten mapping is pertinent, I guess, is to being able to apply that type of feature to it. So in order to be able to, so as I said, as far as all these different sides, I'm going to need to have its own map. And already realizing, whoops, I forgot I left this open here, I'll close that. Already realizing that because we have like the thicknesses of the wall and stuff like that, those are going to have to be mapped all independently. So this is something to consider when you're laying your texture out. So all these edges here, like for these polys, for like all this, that all has to be mapped separately. Otherwise, your shading, whatever, as far as applying your ambient occlusion, is not going to be. It's not going to look right. So all these different faces for these different polys, for all these different sides, have to be mapped separately. And that's what I'll kind of go over with in the next stream for next week. We'll save that for next week. So all these polys here, this, like I said, all these edges that exist here for this one, that's all going to have to be done separately. And that's why I'm thinking that's probably what I'll do to flat map it. I'm going to keep all these separate. Excuse me there. I'm going to keep all these items separate so that I can map them independently based on the flat map texture. So what? So I'm going to double check here. What is this object 5? Did I leave something out? Let me check here. Object 5 is what? Okay, do I still have something? Let me see here. I think I got still something. Still got some cleanup here. So object 5. What is object 5? Okay, let me eliminate everything but object 5 so I can see what that is. Got a straggler here. So let's hide all that. So object 5 is what? I don't think that's anything. What is that? Was that a vert? Interesting. There's nothing there. That must have been what was left of... interesting. I don't know what that would have been. Let me double check here. Let's bring back our front wall. I think that's part of our front wall, I think. Alright, zoom in on that. We gotta find out what that was for. Obviously it didn't look like there was anything really there. It's all part of the cleanup. Okay, what is going on there? So vert. It's not a vert. What the heck? Okay, let me see. It's not an edge. It's not a poly. What in the heck is it? That's really weird. Trying to figure out what the heck that is. It looks like it was part of the front wall here, but I'm just trying to see. Alright, let's select object 5. Interesting. I don't know what that was there. I guess I can probably delete it. Whoops. Gosh darn it. Darn it. Okay, let's go back to... I hate when I do that. Okay, focus back on that. Yeah, so apparently it might have been a remnant. Doesn't look like anything's screwed up here. Let me render this. Oh, let's cut that off there a second. Okay, so yeah, we should be good. Yeah, so that's actually, that needs to be, whoa, let's see what happened there. Something went wrong there in a second. I think this has got a flip, looks like. Not sure what happened there in a second. Alright, so if I render this, okay, that's good there. At least I think. Let me check the front on here. It's almost looking like this needs to be flipped, this poly. A second here. Gotta check it out. Okay, we're good there. This is what rendering, you know, just doing a quick render of it will help. But it's almost seeming to me, I could be wrong, but let me check. It almost looks like that needed to be flipped, but when I look at it from this direction, just trying to figure out what that object 5 was for anyway. Okay, let's focus back on that. Yeah, see, if when I look at it from this direction, yeah, that really shouldn't be textured here, but I should be able to see. That is really weird. Okay. Yeah, it shouldn't be textured here, I guess, or shouldn't be have any. That's what I'm trying to figure out, why it's showing Yeah, I think it's just the angle. It's like a optical conclusion. Yeah, so if I go like that, yeah, I can clearly see the cutout, and there's the edge of the poly. Okay, so I think we're good. Good there, but I need to figure out what this object 5 was from. That doesn't seem to be attached to anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. I don't think we need it. It's a remnant of something, but it apparently does not need to be, it's not needed in here, so. It does look like it was possibly part of, let me bring back, now that I say that, I wonder if that's a part of the left wall. Side left there. Okay, so I don't think it might have been what was left from that side wall. Okay, let me render this. Yeah, it should be golden there. So what we need there is just like that. Okay. Just double checking. Yeah, see the fact that it shows all this in here, that's why I always have to render it so I can see what's actually there and what it isn't. Render this again. Yeah, so you can see all that's that's exactly the way we need it. So I don't think we needed that. It might have been just a remnant, just a loose vert or something like that. And it might show its ugly head, I guess, once we go to try to create a wire mesh, I guess, to texture that. So we'll see. So far from what I'm looking at there, it should be good to go. Alright, so again, going through all this again, let me bring this all back. Besides our original plane. Oops, let me bring this all back. We've got everything that we need to this point to be able to texture yeah, to be able to texture. We got all of our individual pieces, with the exception to the nest. We might have to redo that. Won't necessarily go into that. Primarily what we want to get completed here is just our main grandstand piece there, and we can always go into do our perch there, I guess, afterwards. So we'll leave it at that as far as going into next week's stream. We'll save that for next week as far as going ahead and applying a texture to this thing. And for now, we'll call that good. I appreciate any and all, Racer James, Legend, I guess you would come in here. I guess we got the follow by Force Child. Appreciate that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch this over here. And we don't have a whole lot for yeah, we don't have a whole lot, I guess, going on, I guess, as far as credits, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it on my RAID screen here. That is not what we want, so I'm gonna switch that here, so don't pay no attention to that. We're gonna roll our live credits. Okay. So that should be good. So what we're going to do is we're going to look and see who we got available here, I guess, to over here in TSI need some raid going on here. Ollie goes online, I think. Legend, I guess you had mentioned, I guess, about Ollie. I guess we'll go ahead and show Ollie goes online, I guess, some love. We'll go and raid him. So let me get this queued up here. Bear with me a second, and we're going to put him in here. Actually, what I'll go ahead and do, yeah, we'll just go ahead and set this to raid. Sounds good. So we'll raid. We'll go over to his channel. Just give me a second. Just going to get his credentials here. We'll do the appropriate raid. I know we don't have a whole lot here, but we're just going to go ahead and do it anyway. Alright. I thank you once again, one and all, for stopping by and seeing what we had going on today. Be sure, I guess, to pay Ollie some respect there. Show him some lurk, show him whatever you can, a host, follow, bring it all. So we'll see you all over there. Thank you for watching.